Hello and welcome to JCDC's Arts Jamboree. I'm Dion Silvera. In today's episode, we wheel and turn with the dance and music of traditional folk forms such as Brookings, Maypole and Kumina. And we talk to the tutors and the trainers of the art forms. Soon come.
Traditional folk form is comprised of both European and African retention. More so more African retention. Now, traditional folk form is the one that informs all the popular dance. So all the movements that you are seeing in the popular realm, you can trace it back to any one of the traditional folk forms. So traditional folk forms was always a part of the dance, the creative dance aspect in the National Festival of the Arts competition in the JCDC. What happens is that after a time, the traditional folk forms, because of the workshops being having throughout the island, where persons started to learn more about the traditional folk forms, what happens is that the entries for traditional folk forms started increasing. And in 1990, the increase was so great that we had to separate the traditional folk forms from the dance itself. We call it traditional folk forms because of the music, the dance, and the playing of instruments. So all of that come together as one. And that's why we didn't say traditional dance, we say traditional folk forms. Even the food, but because we can't really expose the food on stage, we just do the movements, the songs, and playing of instruments.
I'm a kind of traditional person. I call me old-fashioned if you like. I kind of like old-fashioned things, antique things, things from yesteryears. I'm like that. So the folk forms now, I was drawn to it. And so I started to enter both festivals now with the children since it was separated. So the traditional folk forms, I would be in it and get quite a number of prestigious awards, still gold, silver, national award, and so on. And I did it all from I stepped into Marlymount. Before that, but when I stepped into Marlymount until the day I left, even as a vice principal, it does never take anything off me. I would be in I used to enter ring game, I do song and dance, I do quadrille.
We started out, first of all, just doing Brookings and the Dinky Mini. That's what we were mostly, accustomed to. But over the years, traveling across the island and seeing the other folk form and going to JCDC workshop, I have expanded that to just about all traditional folk forms. So right now at school, we concentrate on Brookings, Dinky Mini, Maypole, Quadrille, Kumina, you name it.
What we try to do at St. Jago High School, myself and my HOD, who is Miss Walters, we try to integrate like 5 of the traditional folk forms. Mainly we have revivalism, and like the third formers, we would focus on the third formers with revivalism. Like for the first formers, we focus on quadrille and maypole with them along with ring game. But for the bigger ones, we would like do 9 nights and dinky mini with them.
traditional folk forms, for every form it has its own instruments apart from ring games and maypole quadrille. Ring game, maypole and quadrille takes instruments from other areas. But for all the different areas, each area has its own instruments. So for example, if you're doing a kumina, you would need the pair of kumina drums and the maracas, which we call shaka, the shaker. So the kumina drums are the kebando and the plain cast. So if you go to tambo, you need just the tambo drum and the kata sticks. Kumina too use kata sticks, but for tambo is the tambo drums and the kata sticks. So it's a special drum, it's totally different. For revival, dinky mini, brockins, gere, then those would use the pair of what we call revival drum, but it's the bass and rattle. And you know, for eto, it's the kerosene tin and a repeater. And you know, for jankun is the same bass and rattle. All the areas have their own special instruments and their own special rhythm. Well, the instruments gives their own sound, and the rhythm pattern you cannot get from a bass and rattle what you get from a plain cast and a kebando. In no way at all you can get that. So it doesn't really matter how much a music group want to go together and put all the modern instruments together. They will never get the sound. So even the sound systems nowadays that will play the bass, you can never get that kind of bass from the sound system that you get from a Roomba box. So the traditional instruments have a kind of sound that helps the dancers, and it speaks to, the instrument speaks, traditionally. The instruments were played for special reasons. So for instance, you dance in Kumina, the drums tell you when to turn, the drums tell you when to break. Same thing for other areas in the revival, the lifting of the rattle drums tell you how high to sing. So the persons who are playing the instruments don't have to say, pitch your song higher. When the drum go up, you need to go up with the drums. So the drums speak to you. Same thing for the eto, the kerosene tin. The drums tell you the different things to do in the different parts of the eto dance and singing.
When I go to these parish auditions and I see the weight that these teachers are carrying for festival, all that is not so good for you as a humankind. It should be something else, something that you're going to enjoy and be light about it. That whatever comes, it won't burst your heart. So when I see some of them, them all pent up and I have to call them and sometimes I call them at the table and say, all right, cool down. Go outside and leave them. Leave the children. Don't go near to them. Don't go near to them. Leave them, because this is throwing them off too. Because children are like that. They read you quicker than you would ever think. And because of my experience as a teacher, now as a adjudicator, I can tell you that.
I knew that I wanted to become a teacher, but I did not know what kind of teacher. So my dance teacher then, which is Miss Walters, I saw her teach in her regular classes, and she was so involved in the performing arts that it inspired me, and I said that I wanted to be just like her. And with the help of JCDC, when I started to dance, and they saw something in me that I did not see in myself, and I got a full scholarship to Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, where I pursued my career in dancing education.
It started in the school with my mother, late mother, but when the students left that school, they wanted to continue dancing. And so she listened to them and created a community group. It was called the Mansion Brockings group at the time, because we just did Brockings. And later on, we added Dinky Mini to it. But when she became ill and later passed on, I took the mantle of continue in the group. And so I have been at the helm since 1987. So we changed the name now to Manchester Cultural Group because we were not doing brookings alone. And we have been entering, being the top traditional folk adult group in the island for umpteen years. We have had the opportunity to not only perform at national events and local ones, but we got the privilege to travel to represent Jamaica in the USA, in Guantanamo Bay, and in Cuba.
JCDC first gave me a scholarship to the Edna Manley. And it wasn't a scholarship for me to go and learn techniques and skills, but that scholarship was for me to travel across. Because when I was going to Edna Manley, we used to go from different traditional areas. We went to St. Thomas, we look at the group there. We went to Portland, we look at the Brooklyn group with Mr. Darby, Richard Darby and others. We go and we see Bernice. Then we'd go up to Trelawney to see the Minto, that the family who had the tambo. And then after getting this from JCDC, this benefit I'm talking about, I was recognized by a group, the Crystal Ballroom in America. And I was invited to come up to America. And when I went up there, shocking, I didn't know, it was 75 people from different parts of the world doing a theater piece. And I was the person showing them traditional quadrille movements.
Teachers who come to our workshop, what they do, they use our traditional folk form to teach history and geography. Because you cannot teach, as a teacher, you cannot teach traditional folk form just like that. You have to teach the kids the history. You know, when you talk about quadrille, you're talking about all the discipline that they have, how they protect a lady. So you can't just grab a lady and dance like what they do in the dance hall. You have to say, can I have a dance? And the way you hold her, or the way you turn her, you look at her, that partnership, that relationship with partner. These are the things. Boys generally don't want to do the creative dance, but you'll get them to do traditional folk forms because they're holding a young lady and they're looking in the face and they're smiling, so they enjoy that.
Growing up, I was shy. I would say that I was an introvert, but dance helped me out of that. It made me confident. It made me more conscious, more self-aware. It made me wanted to know more about my culture, and in knowing more about my culture, I was more interested in the subjects that the teachers were teaching, like social studies and religious education. I can attest to it that it was because of dance that I passed social studies and religious education in my CXC exam.
The experience has been overwhelming, and exposure, number one, getting a chance to meet other performers and their forms and getting to learn and share. But the greatest thing is when you see your students or group members branch out into the field, creating their own groups or going to another school to teach, or just stage management, working in hotel in the entertainment industry. It pleases your heart that you're really made a contribution to their development.
Persons learn from each other, from the older folks, because the older folks is who we use to impart to the younger generation, and that is why we are able to have it alive still, because it is through our JCDC workshops and the competition, it has propagated the whole competition and also the form itself. JCDC is the agent that has been propagating these forms and keeping them alive through our documentation and also demonstration. The students who enters in the competition, every year at the end of our national finals, persons get scholarship, and they would get scholarship to travel abroad. They also get scholarship to go to Edna Manley, where they pursue a degree course and move on to be teaching in the school system. Now, most of the time, they take the traditional folk forms or dance or music as a extracurricular. In some of the schools, it is a part of the curriculum. They don't see it as extra because it's a part, because you're telling about the history. So you cannot teach traditional folk form in 1 day or 2 months because there's so much to learn about the traditional folk. You have to learn the history, you have to learn how to play the instrument, you have to learn the songs, and you also have to learn the movements in its entirety. And all of that goes together to create. And you know, Africans have this polyrhythmic thing, so they cannot just do, we are multitask. So traditional is like multitask.
Things change with time, and sometimes you have to give up a little just to keep the youngsters involved. Because before now it was mainly elderly people who were doing these things. The children were left out. JCDC has taken on the mantle to include the schools, and so students are doing it now, but there is a lot of distraction out there, a lot of things that they prefer to do. So sometimes, I know sometimes I have to even start using the dancer rhythm for them to dance the traditional folk form, then I go into the drums, just to get them interested. So some things will be, have been adjusted. I wouldn't say watered down, because maybe when we got it when we were young, it wasn't as that way from beginning. Right, but things change as we go along.
It's a beautiful experience knowing that you have learned so much over the years, and then you can pass on what you have learned to others. It's unexplainable at times. It brings you joy knowing that the culture is there and it's alive and well, and it's for us to just pass it on to the younger generation.
Me a berere, you a berere. Charlie Nuku in a berere. Me a berere, you a berere. Charlie Nuku. Me a berere, you a berere. Charlie Nuku. Me a berere, you a berere. Kula puja, Ario. 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 Barati ya barati. Barati ya barati. Deka lupam barati. Deka lupam barati. Traditional folk form for me is, as I stated, is my life. So I'll give this advice to people. This is it. Ensure you're learning the right thing. That's the first thing you need to do. So even if it is shown to you this way, don't be afraid to call somebody from another area, research what you're doing, and when you research what you're doing, ensure that you're on the right track. And this is crucial. If you learn and know your folk forms, the traditional folk forms, believe you me, it helps you to get through in life. So it helps me in so many ways.
So as an adjudicator, I always come in that light to help them to calm down, help them to see the lighter side of the thing, help them to see the performances, help them to see others, other children like myself doing the same thing, help them to also realize that this is one set from this school and this is my set from my school. And you must let them sit down and say, they may look better than me for true. Then costume me prettier than me for true. You must look at it and look when you score and they score, look at the things that you think they did. Maybe their energy was better. The children should be able to say, yes, Mr. Dance better than me, them is stronger. What about the costume? Yes, Mr. Costume pretty, Mr. You know, help them to lighten down. Don't let them carry on any burden. Let them go home, feel free, and come back again.
I would tell any teacher, get involved in this platform. Dance is not just, some people would call it advanced playing. Dance is more than just movements. It is an holistic development. It prepares you and it develops your creativity. It makes you more aware of your environment, who you are as an individual. It makes you interact with people, not only in Jamaica, but you become more aware of people across the world. So I would, and it's because of JCDC why I traveled extensively when I was younger to North America, South America, and cultural exchanges. So I would advise any teacher, get your students involved with such a program as this?
There will be distractions, there will be disappointment, there will be hurdles, but the fact that I can continue in it so long means that it's rewarding. It's rewarding to be able to get on stage, express yourself. It's rewarding to be able to see those who are under your wings develop, moving from a person who had, as Jamaica said, 2 left foot to somebody who can master the dance, right? So you get a thrilling feeling in the end when you see, you know, somebody develop and being able to pass on the craft to others. So I would say to them, stick with it. No matter what others are saying, you will see the benefit. It is there.
Traditional folk forms, the benefit that young people get, they get to travel extensively. They travel throughout the island and also travel abroad, because several groups, when they come to the Best of Festival and the Mellow-go-round, persons from abroad see they have their little community in outside of Jamaica. They go back to their community, they tell them about the group, and they sponsor them, and they go up and perform. They have different cultural, in the diaspora, they have different cultural events where they come down here and see our Mellow-go-round, see groups in the Mellow-go-round and the Best of Festival, and even the national finals. Or sometimes they are in the parish and know that there's a parish finals going on, because what we have, especially when we are in Trelawny, when the ship comes, they come and they see the performance at the parish level, and they see the group and they invite them up. So they get the opportunity to perform outside of Jamaica.
Take a look, Bambarati. A look, Bambarati. Take a look, Bambarati.
Lord, traditional folk forms, nice! I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Remember, support the JCDC and the various competitions. Join us via social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and like us on Facebook and Instagram. And I'll see you in the next video. Oh God.